Yes, okay. So as regards the calling of the first general congregation of the College of Cardinals the day after the Pope dies, I think that was a mistake. Cardinal Zen is correct. Now, as regards the challenge ahead of the college, it comes down to a basic choice. Do we want more of this that we saw during Pope Francis's reign? Before Pope Francis, did the College of Cardinals as a body get up and say on any occasion, we need to give communion to divorced people, we need to bless homosexual couples, we need to give the Communist Party in China control over the church, we need to affirm that God created all religions and they're all pathways to heaven? Those ideas never came anywhere from Pope Francis believed those things. He got elected Pope. He said, now is a chance for me to do these things. I don't think most Cardinals are interested in continuing that line of thought.
By the way, my name is Joe McClane. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Cardinal Zen is issuing a strong challenge to the Vatican decision to begin pre-conclave meetings this morning, like right away. And, oh, by the way, if you're like 80 or more, don't feel the need to come. Just stay right where you're at. It says, Your Eminence, as has been officially announced, His Holiness Pope Francis entered eternal life this morning at 7:45 a.m. In accordance with number 19 of the Apostolic Constitution of Universi Dominici Gregis, I hereby formally summon the cardinal electors to the general congregations of the College of Cardinals to be held during the vacancy of the Apostolic See and in preparation for the conclave. The first meeting will take place tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Synod Hall. I cordially invite all cardinals over the age of 80 to take part in the preparatory general congregations as well. However, as stipulated in number 7 of the aforementioned Apostolic Constitution, they are free to participate or not participate. With a sorrowful heart, I extend fraternal greetings, Cardinal Ray. Oh, first of all, happy Easter to you, but get your reaction to the news that Pope Francis passed away. What were your thoughts?
Well, I was shocked in one sense because having watched him on Easter Sunday ride the Pope-mobile in St. Peter's Square, I knew that he was weak and that, he had trouble breathing and speaking, but he looked more animated. It looked like he was, going to continue on as Pope. So that, even though we knew he was sick, it was still surprising that he died so quickly. So God rest his soul. 12 years of the pontificate have come to an end. Now we entrust his soul to the mercy of God and ask God's blessing upon the cardinals who will be gathering in Rome.
This is something I was mentioning in the last segment. I saw it a lot yesterday, of course, commentators, talking heads, people like me on news channels and podcasts or whatever. I think many of them have already either sent them to heaven or they sent them to hell, one or the other. It's like, and I think it's dangerous, don't you?
Of course, no, we have to pray for the souls of all those who have died. And in particular for our popes, bishops, and priests, because, the devil goes after those in leadership positions to try and get them to lead the flock astray and then to make them, subject to his dominion. So, I'm very conscious as a priest that I have to pray to God for his protection because, when you affect the priest, the bishop, or the pope, you can have an influence on others. And also, we're all sinners, whether we're, great, small, whatever it might be. So we have to ask God's mercy on our soul. And so prayers and masses for the Pope's soul are eagerly and honestly requested.
Archbishop Charles Chaput, in First Things yesterday, had a short but very poignant statement in regards to the passing of Francis. He said, the interregnum between papacies is a time for candor. The lack of it, given today's challenges, is too expensive. In many ways, whatever its strength, the Francis pontificate was inadequate to the real issues facing the church. You and I have had many conversations. Of course, you've had tremendous conversations with the World Over Live and other outlets about the difficulties over the last 12 years in the Francis pontificate. And it would seem to me that there are great challenges that the Cardinals now have to face down and find us the next man for the chair. And then, of course, this morning, we are seeing this report that Cardinal Zen is issuing a challenge to the Vatican because it seems they're moving with rapid speed now to gather the Cardinals and begin conversation, knowing that there's Cardinals out there who aren't going to be able to arrive so soon. Does that trouble you in any way, shape, or form? And what do you see as the big challenges that these Cardinals need to discuss and consider in their vote?
Yes. Okay. So as regards the calling of the first general congregation of the College of Cardinals the day after the Pope dies, I think that was a mistake. Cardinal Zen is correct. You have to leave time for the Cardinals to make arrangements to get plane tickets and then to come over. So there should have also been a sort of respect that in the immediate aftermath of the death of someone, we stop our ordinary activities, including the activities of the College of Cardinals. We do the bare minimum necessary to arrange for, have his body prepared to be placed in the casket and things of that sort. But no, Cardinal Zen is right. They should have given time. The Cardinals have to wrap up some of their affairs before getting on planes and flying to Rome. So that meeting should have been held tomorrow, Wednesday. No need to rush. Now, as regards the challenge ahead of the college, it comes down to a basic choice. Do we want more of this that we saw during Pope Francis's reign, which Archbishop Chaput identifies very accurately? Do we want, sadly, a chaotic church in which we wake up each morning and ask, what has the Pope decided to do today that is kind of shocking to Catholic sensibilities? I mean, in my wildest dreams, I never imagined a Pope would say that people divorced and remarried should be given Holy Communion when Popes John Paul II and Benedict had resisted the pressure of liberal forces in the church and said, no, we can't do that. And this is based on what the Lord himself said. What God has joined, man must not divide. If you're married, you're joined together by God in a holy and sacred relationship. And adulterous so-called second marriages are sinful. Now we have to keep that teaching secure by then saying those who are objectively violating God's law should not be given Holy Communion. Pope Francis said that in Amoris Laetitia, in a footnote, was a very political way of acting, sort of saying, well, we're going to try and sneak it by people. And if they say this is bad, well, it was only a footnote and it only applies to a few people. No, the principle was there. The same thing with the blessing of same-sex couples. Can you imagine St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas in heaven looking down and saying, oh, yeah, the Pope has figured it out. People who engage in sodomy should be blessed when they come forward together and ask a priest to bless their relationship. This is incredible that the Pope did it. Now, out of respect for the Pope, we made the critiques and tried to tell him this is wrong. He didn't want to listen to people, and Archbishop Chaput points that out. Pope Francis did not listen to loyal criticism, and he himself said a number of times he welcomes it, but we saw that he didn't. Cardinal Burke was thrown out of his residence, meaning the subsidized apartments that are given to cardinals so that they can carry out their Roman duties. He was told, you got to leave your apartment unless you pay market rates, and you lose your salary and your health benefits. In what world does a pope treat a cardinal like that? But it was done. Few people objected, but the College of Cardinals didn't rise up and say, we can't accept this. So now's a moment for the proper reckoning to say, look, the excesses of this reign need not continue. Doctrine must be affirmed. The role of the College of Cardinals has to be reaffirmed. Bishops need to be listened to when they critique papal actions. And then the ordinary lay people. As you know, Joe, being a radio host, people out there, they spent the whole pontificate asking, what's going on here? Now's the time to say, well, we're going to return to normalcy, in which Catholic doctrine is not the subject of papal edicts every morning saying we're going to do something different than we did in the past. And we also have to have an approach that respects the role of collegiality among the College of Cardinals and the bishops. They have a right to speak and bring forward to the Pope their concerns for the good of the church, because in the end, it's the good of souls. It's not simply one person is proven right. No, the good of souls is, what did Jesus say? How do we be faithful to that?
I find that most Catholics divide themselves along party lines, unfortunately. They like liberal theology. They like liberal politics. They like conservative theology. They like conservative politics. And I think it's always been disappointing to me because what does Christ teach through his church? Let the chips fall where they may. I don't care about the politics. I just want to be Catholic. And it seems to me that these bishops are also in divided along these lines. There's this politics becomes their compass, their lens through which they see. I'm afraid personally, as a layperson, I'm worried that they will go into the conclave with these lenses, with these little cliques and agendas, and they're going to give us more of the same. Do you share that concern, or do you think there's still hope coming out of the conclave?
No, there's always hope because God is good, and the College of Cardinals is populated by many men of whom we know little in the sense of where they stand. They really aren't publicly identified where they stand. Some obviously are in the mold of Pope Francis, and they are in favor of innovations and sort of revolutionary movement. This whole synodality effort has got to stop. The latest plan is that we're not going to have another synod of bishops, which is now really the ex-synod of bishops because it includes lay people. But they want to have an ecclesial assembly, which is like an Anglican church meeting. Horrendous idea that is offensive to the divine constitution of the church. No, I believe that most cardinals are in line with John Paul II and Benedict's understanding that in the post-Vatican II church, our effort is to be faithful to the gospel in response to modern challenges. It is not the role of the church to wake up and say, what is the secular agenda? How do we accommodate ourselves to it? No, every morning we have to wake up and say, Jesus Christ is the Lord of the universe. He has taught me how I am to live and how I am to treat my neighbor. How do we implement that in the face of hostile forces and our own sinfulness? That's the mission of the church. I think most cardinals are in favor of that. I'm very encouraged that we're going to have, in the run up to the conclave, the exposition of what needs to be done in the church. And it will basically be to reaffirm what John Paul II and Benedict were doing, defend the faith and try to appeal to modern man to see the value and the goodness of what Christianity teaches.
Do you think it'll be necessary for the next pope to make public statement, make some sort of statement about the difficulties in Amoris Laetitia, as you mentioned, or Fiducia Supplicans, or some of the other aspects of the Francis pontificate?
Yes, the next pope is going to have to come and say that some actions of Pope Francis need to be reversed and they are no longer operative in the life of the church. We cannot continue with Amoris Laetitia regarding communion for divorced and remarried. The blessing of same-sex couples, that has to be forbidden. The synod on synodality has to stop, and the synod of bishops has to return to be a meeting of bishops, not a meeting of bishops and everybody else. We have to stop this notion that God created all religions, and therefore, every religion learns from the other. No, God established by revelation in Jesus Christ the church, and Christianity is the revealed religion. It's the fulfillment of the hope of Israel. And that is the religion that we propagate. We do not consider the other religions to be of divine origin. We have to look at the role of the church in evangelizing the world and not submitting itself to secular governments as is done in China. The China secret deal has to be renounced. We cannot entrust the Communist Party in Beijing with the effective control of the nomination of Catholic bishops in China. This has to end. We cannot continue with that. So there are a lot of things. We could use the word rollback or reversal. And some people say, oh, you're going backwards. No, we're not going backwards. We're returning to the center. These are eccentric notions that were introduced in the life of the church during the pontificate. And I think I can honestly say I believe most cardinals would agree with what I just said. They may not have said it in public, but the way I gauge it is this. Before Pope Francis, Did the College of Cardinals as a body get up and say on any occasion, we need to give communion to divorced people, we need to bless homosexual couples, we need to give the Communist Party in China control over the church, we need to affirm that God created all religions and they're all pathways to heaven? Those ideas never came anywhere from Pope Francis believed those things. He got elected Pope. He said, now is a chance for me to do these things. I don't think most cardinals are interested in continuing that line of thought or action.
And certainly, wouldn't you agree that we need to put an end to the era that protects people that commit grave, horrendous crimes? Marco Rupnik, Zecchetta, and a bunch of others. McCarrick being another example of a guy who was rehabilitated in the Francis pontificate. It seems like that trend was the order of the day under the last 12 years. Whoever's next, they need to crush that, don't they?
Absolutely. And they need to restore the Latin Mass. I mean, we should not have the notion that sex abusers who are friends of the popes get protected. And we should never say that what the traditional Latin Mass is harmful to the life of the church. It is not.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.